So let's move on to the other opposite end of the coaching staff. Demeco Ryans being the new defensive coordinator. What would you consider a successful season for Demeco Ryans?
Yeah, I would say for him, and I don't want to put like a defensive ranking on it just because I think it'll bleed into the next topic a little bit, but just situational football. Um, you know, can he design a defense that can corral some of these quarterbacks that move around a bit? Can he make good, sound decisions in tough situations? Third and one or fourth and one, game on the line. What does he drop in that situation, right? A team's making a long drive and they need a touchdown to win, and they're at the red zone basically. At that point, what type of plays is he drawing up? Is he comfortable in that situation? So, rather than putting a defensive rank on it, I just want to see him call good, sound plays in situational football. And if he does those things, then I think that he's done what he needs to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I fully expect a very aggressive defense, a lot of cover one. These injuries worry me a little bit because I know if Josh Norman is in the game, they're going to play more cover three, cover four, which is what they've been doing in the past. So I hope that health stays on their side. They are able to be very aggressive with this defensive play calling, and he's able to do what I think he does so much different than Saleh, and that is bring the aggression, bring the exotic blitzes, and allow that to be the staple of this defense. So I'm curious to see how it plays out for him.
Yeah, I mean, Demeco Ryan seems like he wants to win the down versus just like not get beat, right?
Yep.
Salah was more of a conservative, just like don't let anybody get past us. And
Yep.
Demeco Ryan seems like he's trying to make the tackle behind the line of scrimmage, get that interception. Let's turn the ball over, which I think is going to really excite this team because everybody that they have is a pretty aggressive style player.
Yep.
So this is going to kind of open them up. For me, I think a successful season based off of the personnel is this defense still being what carries this team. As long as the defense can still be the best part of this team, I think that Demeco Ryans has done a great job in year one because he has the defensive line that I think is going to be miserable for any offensive line to deal with as far as the rotation and the type of talent that's there. He has the safeties that I think are pretty elite, and as long as Tart and Ward stay healthy, I think are going to give quarterbacks fits. One of the best linebacker duos in Greenlaw and obviously All-Pro Fred. And then some decent corners. Obviously, Verrett's there, and I do like the rookies. And when Mosley comes back as well, I think he has all the personnel to be a top defense. And I think as long as they perform like a top defense, he's done his job. You
Yeah.
can't really expect too much more from a guy that's coming into his first year as a defensive coordinator anywhere. But as long as they stay competitive, they stay a top defense, I think he's done a great job. And I 100% expect him to, because I think he's smart enough. I think that he's, these linebackers that turn into defensive coordinators seem to transition so well. You're seeing it with the Titans, what is happening with their coach over there. Yeah, man, I expect Demeco Ryans not only to have a great season, but I expect us to lose him in 2 or 3 years just because of how well he's going to have this defense going.
Yeah, that would be a great problem to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets promoted, then everything went well. So yeah, and I think it helps too. All Pro Fred is there. I think Fred has a chance to be Defensive Player of the Year with this aggressive style defense. I think he's going to get his hand on more interceptions. Just naturally by blitzing, he'll get a few of those, maybe more fumbles, strip sacks, or even just sacks. So having a guy like that, Manning, and being the quarterback of this defense to work with you, I think that's the best case scenario for Demeco Ryan. So he's set up to do very well.
I agree, man. I agree. Moving on. So we just talked about the D coordinator. Let's talk about the actual defense, right? So we have high expectations for this
Yeah.
defense. So I think they could be like a top 10 defense and it still be considered unsuccessful, right? Because of how much the expectations are. So looking at what this defense is consisted of personnel wise, and what we've seen from them in the past, what would you consider a successful season for this defense?
It's got to be top five minimum. Top five minimum. And I think that they probably have to eclipse the amount of turnovers that they forced in 2019. You've got one extra game to do so. Again, I just said that this defense is going to be predicated around its aggression. And so if you're going to be an aggressive defense, you've got to force more turnovers, because on the flip side of that, with aggression does come some lapses, can come some blown coverages, and you might get more points put on you because of that. But if you can force some of those turnovers at opportune times, it won't really matter. So I'm going to say top five defense, top five scoring defense. I don't care about the yardage. I hate that. I think that's the dumbest way to rank defenses. But
Right.
top five scoring defense, and forced more turnovers, which I believe was 27 in 2019. So they've got to do that in order for them to be successful, in my mind.
I agree. And especially with the quarterback play, regardless of who the starter is,
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that's really going to be important is keeping them in good field position, minimizing the amount of long drives that Jimmy or Trey has to go on. And I think a lot of that is going to be done through the defense being able to 3 and out or turn the ball over. And I think with the type of people that they brought in, we heard Jimmy Ward talk about what his focus is this season. He wants to be able to turn the ball over more. I think it's important, especially with this defensive line. They're going to be putting pressure on the quarterback. The quarterback's going to be making quick decisions, make a lot of mistakes, and it's up to this defense to turn the ball over. So more than the ranking, I think I want them to be one of the top ranking turnover teams this
For
year,
sure.
because I think that's going to definitely help out the overall team, especially with Jimmy as quarterback. Let's make it as easy as possible for him. Let's play complementary football. Let's have the defense not just hold people, but we need to stop people and get them off the field. And I think that's what I really want to see out of this defense.
Yeah, I think that's it. And you hit the nail on the head there. Regardless of who starts, the 49ers have the fourth best quarterback in this division. Like, let's just
Mm-hmm.
make that clear. Like, rookie Trey Lance is not better than Stafford, Murray, or Wilson. And Garoppolo is certainly not better than any of those guys. So if you have the fourth best quarterback in the division, that can be offset a little bit by having a high powered run offense, right? And some good
Mm-hmm.
weapons, which they do have. But it also can be offset if your defense makes it harder on those opposing quarterbacks, so that our quarterback doesn't have to be perfect in order for us to win. So you're absolutely right. That's what has to get done.
And look, we didn't cut any of the defensive linemen that we brought into training camp. So this defensive line has to eat. We got to see
Mm-hmm.
production, meaning sacks and tackles behind the line of scrimmage. And one thing that I want to see fixed as well is our ineptness against mobile quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ebicom, you were brought in. D Ford, you're there. Bosa, you're healthy. These quarterbacks can't just gash us like they do, like they've done in the past. Those are I think the three things I want to see: more sacks, more turnovers, and don't let these mobile quarterbacks, because we play two of them.
Mm-hmm.
We're four out of our 17 games are in our 4 out of the games in our division are against mobile quarterbacks. They can't gash us, and that's what I really expect out of this defense with the personnel that we brought back.
Yeah, we're gonna know real quick, right? Like I think four of the first 6 games are against mobile quarterbacks. You got Hurts, you've got Wilson, you've got Murray, and you've got Wentz. So, and Wentz is a different type of mobile than those other guys, but he's mobile, right? Like, he can get out on you. So,
And Aaron Rodgers as well can be
yeah,
put in that
absolutely.
category
Yep.
as well.
Yep. So we're going to find out real quick if it's been resolved. And luckily for them, they get to ramp up, right?
Yeah.
Because you're probably going to beat the Eagles, but Hurts is a nice little test. You've seen Lance throughout training camp, so that doesn't hurt. And then they get to go to Rodgers and then Murray or I mean, then Wilson, then
Yeah.
Murray. So they get to kind of step into this slowly, and hopefully Demeco Ryans and this defense are able to read and react a lot quicker because of those things.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm with you. This has to be a top 5 defense. And these guys have to be, I think this has to be the better side of the ball, right? Because the offense is still very young. Still, you know, I mean, I think the offense will be fine, but it's mostly the running game that I think is going to carry it.
Yep.
This defense has to be the consistent, every single game we could count on this defense to play at a very high level, because we know whomever the quarterback is going to be inconsistent play, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.